Welcome back to Starting Point. I'm Luisa Kusnandar with Aisha Fabian here, and we're still with you until 9 a.m. today to give you the latest news and information. And speaking about history, we don't really realize it, but it turns out that it's been, like 5 years post-COVID and 20 years after the tsunami in Aceh.
Yes,
time flies.
That's true, and that's why we are going to take you there to commemorate together 20 years tsunami. It has been 20 years since the deadly Indian Ocean tsunami that laid waste to coastal areas in 15 countries, with the most number of fatalities in Aceh, Indonesia, with nearly 200,000 people died. And this week, a commemoration took place in Aceh, and Rahmat Idris sat down with head of Indonesian Agency of Meteorology, Climatology and Geophysics Agency. Let's take a look at the conversation from Banda Aceh.
Hello, you're watching Special Dialogue here on TVI World. My name is Rahmat Idris. We come to you from the beautiful city of Banda Aceh as over 500 delegates from 54 countries gather here in the city, comprising of scientists, engineers, and more importantly, practitioners and policy makers to put on the tables on the things that we have achieved in terms of addressing tsunamis and things that we need to still work on. And this is from the second UNESCO IOC Tsunami Global Symposium. And right now I am extremely delighted and honored to be seated in conversations with the head of the National Agency of Meteorology, Climatology and Geophysics of the Republic of Indonesia, Honorable Professor Insinyur Dwi Korita Karnawati. Thank you very much, Professor.
Thank you, Pak Rahmat.
We go way back. It's so good to see you again.
Yeah, it's great for me to meet you again, to talk together with you again.
Amidst your jam-packed schedule, thank you very much for making the time for TVI World and Asia Pacific Broadcasting Union. Ibu. So let's look back in retrospect. In Tsunami 2004, hands down, is one of the scariest, if not the grimmest, and one of the darkest time in our history of natural disasters. And now fast forward 20 years later, Prof, what have we learned from that particular time when we were faced in such a calamity?
Well, to be frankly, it is the fact that 20 years ago, we really not ready to have that disasters. Not ready in terms of the knowledge. Even I was one of the scientists in disaster management. I also learned about tsunami from the textbook in the classroom. But when there is real tsunami, it's beyond what we have learned. It's really shocked us. So somehow we could not think anything, powerless, because of lack of knowledge, not only in theory but also in the practical things. And sadly, we did lack of instrumentation for observation, monitoring, detection, and we didn't have early warning system at all. So the community as well, even me as the scientist, I feel that I was lack capacity. What happened with the community, which never read anything about tsunami? So it was the nightmares. So we learned a lot from that. So that's why our government tried to move on, to get back, to be more and more resilient. And luckily, the Indonesian government in 2007, it's about 3 years after, managed to establish the National Decree for Disaster Management. So when tsunami occurred, we didn't have any national decree, undang-undang. So Badan Nasional Penanggulangan Bencana, or the National Agency for Disaster Management, was then also established in 2027. So it is a huge jump from the nightmare before. No agency national which dealing with that, but then we have the national agency, we have the national decree, and then in 2008 Indonesia established the Indonesian Tsunami Early Warning System, INATUS, in our agency, the Agency for Meteorology, Climatology and Geophysics. It's a quite significant, huge leapfrog from before we only have 20 seismographs to detect the earthquake across Indonesia, just 20. In 2008, suddenly we have the early warning system with almost 100 seismographs, and nowadays we have almost 600 seismographs. Our system is powered also by artificial intelligence, supercomputer, big data, machine learning, and our people, the community also train regularly for disaster readiness, especially coordinated by the National Agency for Disaster Management in collaboration with us.
Right. Now here we are, Professor, for the second Global Symposiums on Tsunami. We have nearly 600 delegates coming.
Even 700.
700 delegates from 54 countries here gathered in Banda Aceh. We have practitioners, engineers, policymakers. What are some of the biggest expectations and outcomes that we hope to gain from this esteemed and prestigious events, particularly in relation to what you said, the early warning for all by 2027? Indeed,
it is the mandate of United Nations Secretary General. It's about the early warning system for all, that by the year of 2027, everyone in the earth must be protected by the early warning. So this message creates some energy, motivation to work faster, to accelerate our actions, to prepare the readiness of the community and also the readiness of the system. So to do that, we must look at what is the gap now. The gap now is we still lack of data, proper data. Still some countries doesn't have systematic observation. So still lack of data, observation, lack of capacity in terms of the knowledge still remain. Although Indonesia has quite significant improvement, but we talk about the globe, global society, not only Indonesia. So in this symposium, we learned from 20 years ago, and we look at now what still remain the gap, not only in the knowledge, but also in the infrastructure, in capacity in general, also in the coordination, synergy, and well, again, about the data exchange, also still the problems, and again, the community involvement need to be more and more empowered.
That brings me to my next question to you, Ibu Dwi Kudeta, because it is highly essential to have all of our communities involved in the tsunami warnings and mitigation, which is something that we severely lacked back in 2004, the knowledge of tsunami and the ways to mitigate it for these communities. So what do we do? What is the most ideal approach right now to have all of these communities, particularly those residing in the geographically challenging areas, coastal areas of our country?
From the global approach, IOC UNESCO has established guidelines for tsunami-ready community. and there are several 12 indicators, and the guideline encourage us to work directly with the community. Us means can be scientists, can be experts, can be the agency like us, work with the community to empower them to work together and empower us as well. So we are equal, yeah, under the guidelines. That's from the global point of view. From national point of view, National Agency for Disaster Management has established a specific program on Katana, keluarga tangguh bencana. What is in English?
Yeah,
resilient family.
Disaster resilient family.
Yeah, disaster resilient family, and Destana, desa tangguh bencana, disaster resilient village.
Yeah.
So bottom up, that's from the family, from the village, must be empowered, yeah, and actors, yeah, empowered by the scientists, academia, by the government. So work together, government, scientists, academia, media, community, and several other actors, stakeholders, bottom up. Then from international, we combine that, we strengthen that with the tsunami ready community. And then UNESCO provides special certificate when the community has been assessed, considered to be ready. So the certificate is hand in for 5 years. So every 5 years they must improving their capacity, otherwise they will not be having another next certificate.
There must be progress, as you
progress,
said.
yeah.
I was paying attention closely to the first day, the opening ceremony of our gathering here in Banda Aceh. And one thing that struck my attention was your comparison of the performance of Saman of Aceh to what you call energy and synergy, which is truly the symbolizations of what we do here in Banda Aceh.
Indeed.
Have you seen enough synergy between all of these collaborative countries for the tsunami warning and mitigation, particularly in adopting each other's advanced technology?
There has been starting efforts.
We are getting there, you're saying?
Getting there, but not yet enough. Especially synergy in observation and data collection. So still challenging to have data exchange. Yeah. Meanwhile, to provide reliable and timely and accurate early warning, we do need data, we do need observation and monitoring. That's still the challenge, how we can have integration of various data that we need. So need more synergy and collaboration in that.
And goodwill from all these participants.
Of course, yeah.
My final question to you, Ibu Dwi Korita, you, on behalf of BMKG, single-handedly at the helm for this gathering here in Banda Aceh, involving 54 countries. What are your most personal, deepest expectations to gain from this prestigious event as a result towards the next, you mentioned, the next 20 years of our efforts addressing the challenge of tsunamis?
There are a lot of expectation, I believe, not only from us, but also from all other participants from other countries. And in my point of view, the most expectation is how we can strengthen the commitments, spirits, to work more closely, to work together. As I mentioned before, like traditional Saman dancing, it has been more than 400 years the dance was created, but until now, almost 500 years, still implemented and very lively.
Exactly.
So we do is the disaster mitigation is like the traditional Saman dancing. until hundreds years later, still very handy, very lively.
Down from one generation to the next.
Yeah. So not only in our generation, but future generation as well, in synergy, harmony. So we do need to have that.
Well, we have to leave it at that. Professor Dwi Korita Karnawati, the head of the National Agency of Meteorology, Climatology and Geophysics of the Republic of Indonesia. We thank you so much, Ibu, for
Thank
your
you,
insight
Pak
and
Rahmat.
time.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And that concludes a special dialogue here on TVR World from Banda Aceh, Indonesia. I'm Rahmat Idris. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.